Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Media Chatter. This is our second episode, but we're calling it episode 266 because we're kind of continuing on from Movie Chatter, and the acronym still fits for the file names, and you know, it's just smoother sailing.
I was going to say, it's our second episode of Media Chatter, and we're already down a member today, so...
Yeah, we already lost one. By our fourth episode, it'll just be the backdrop here and no hosts. Which I don't know. Some people might prefer that. Yeah, Robin is not with us tonight. She had some stuff going on and was not able to finish the series. Fortunately, both Lou and I did get to finish the series, except the small minor detail that I didn't actually get to finish the series.
We're really batting 1,000 here.
Yeah. Well, I made a guest. I made a guest appearance on Guardians of the MCU tonight, not realizing I was making two guest appearances on Guardians of the MCU tonight. So that I think, had I not, I probably could have gotten it finished. Like I'm really, really close. But I definitely feel confident in the things I have to say about the show, about the series.
Yeah, you're far enough in that you can talk about it intelligently.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So this series, this is on Netflix. It's called Inventing Anna. And it's based on a true story. They do take some creative liberties with it, which is not surprising by any stretch.
Right.
The IMDb,
I'm not really sure what those liberties are based on what I haven't.
That's always what you want to know.
Whole story,
right? Yeah, I haven't investigated it.
What'd you make up? What didn't you make up?
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff you can find online for this story. It's very recent. It's very modern.
Right.
The IMDb description: a journalist with a lot to prove investigates the case of Anna Delvey, the Instagram legendary German heiress who stole the hearts of New York's social scene and stole their money as well. So it's interesting because the series begins with Anna Delvey being held in prison and awaiting her trial. And it's the investigator who's going around and interviewing people, doing the legwork. And so a lot of the series is told in flashbacks. A lot of it's, you know, in current time with the investigator trying to figure out what's going on. It's pretty deep. We're going to get into that in a minute. I want to talk a little bit about the casting. So Julia Garner plays Anna Delvey, and she's best known for Ozark. Yep. And the reporter is played by Anna Chlumsky, who I know best from Veep on HBO.
I never watched Veep. It
was pretty good.
What else she's been in here?
Very
I don't think I've
different role.
She looks
for her,
familiar
though.
to me, but I don't remember what I've seen.
Yeah, I'm going to click through on IMDb for her here because I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking through here.
Probably seen her in other things. Oh, IMDb, man, I tell you, your site just is not the same as it used to be. I will say that she did an incredible job.
Oh, she was fantastic
in this role. You know, everybody's talking about Julia Garner, and with good reason. But Anna Chlumsky just nailed the role of Vivian.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah, I see. She's done a lot of things. Nothing that stands out. Like
I got a blank page on IMDb when I clicked. Like I got all the banners and ads, and then zero content on.
It looks like she's been like a guest on Law and Order and Covert Affairs. She had an episode, so she played a secondary character in a lot of these shows. And recently she was on Veep for a few 65 episodes.
Yeah, she was one of the mainstays on Veep. She was a primary character.
Podcast series 64th Man, Rugrats TV short.
Podcast series. She could come on our show.
She could.
She's a veteran.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, the big star of this one is obviously Julia.
Right.
And if I didn't know it was her ahead of time, I would not have guessed this was the same woman that plays in Ozark.
I would have, because of the distinctive facial features, but
see, I thought she looked so different though too. I mean, she definitely had a different hair and makeup style that for some reason I didn't connect the two. I'm like, I would not guess that was her.
The nose, the lips, and the chin to me are very distinctive on her. She has a very slender face and a very distinct shape to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the hair was very different. Like you said, she was done up very differently from her character.
And her makeup is done totally different in Ozark because of what she plays and where she's from, that kind of thing. So yeah.
And you know, the departure in the portrayal of the character too. I mean, literally from one end of the spectrum to another, you know, someone who's penniless, living in beat up trailers out in the woods somewhere, to, you know.
And both characters are a very confident kind of, I'm going to do this type thing character, but from a different aspect, different way of showing it, really. So
yeah,
both very strong female characters, but very different in how they're portrayed.
Yeah. And I think, you know, Vivian's character, the reporter, also confident in herself, not confident about the environment she's in and whether or not she's going to be able to succeed with what she knows she can succeed with otherwise, but isn't confident about whether she's going to be able to get over the hurdles that she needs to get over, which makes for an interesting dynamic. Like, she has a lot of agency in her character, and yet, you know, she's kind of stuck in this industry, in this world where she might not get anywhere with what she's trying to do.
Right. So, and I think that, you know, she had a couple things going on with her character as well. I mean, she was pregnant. She had a job at, it was Vanity Fair, wasn't right?
No, Vanity Fair was a competitor.
The other one. Yeah, it was,
I forget.
It was a made up title, I think it was, for what they were, Manhattan Magazine or something like that. Yeah. But, you know, she was in with a bunch of writers that were kind of on their way out. So it looked like she was being put out of her job, and she had some controversy years before where a story went wrong and nobody stood behind her. So she's got a lot of things in her mind of, can I do this? Can I be good again? Can I, you know, go back to where I was? So this is as much growth about her as it was about, you know, Anna Delvey.
Yeah. And they get maybe not exactly the same amount of screen time, but really, really close. I mean, they're both protagonists and both the primary characters. Though, again, you know, the series is about Anna. So Julia Garner is definitely the headliner here. So this is 9 episodes, about an hour per episode. And let's talk about it. So first of all, just your in a nutshell thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
So, I mean, I watched this before you guys did, and I'm not sure why it was on my radar, but I heard somewhere say it was pretty good, so watch it.
And it's fairly new.
The first episode, it is fairly new. It came out
a couple of weeks ago.
February, I think it was. Yeah, early February. Yeah. The first episode, I don't think really did it justice. It was kind of like, I watched it, I'm like, okay, I don't get much about this. We didn't get much about Anna in the first episode, really. It was about establishing the reporter character and kind of getting into that mindset, and I'm like, okay, this is okay. It's not great, but it was enough to keep me saying, okay, what else is going on here? In the second episode, picked up a little bit. It wasn't a huge jump. But by the third episode, now you're really into the story and really kind of intrigued by, what's going on here? Right. It sucked me in because it was a story based on truth. I always find those kind of compelling because it really happened, when I want to watch this portrayal, and then I want to dig into the story and see what really happened, because I'm sure this is not 100% accurate. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I went through the whole thing in about a week, and was very happy I did. And I put on to you guys that we should watch this for Media Chatter, and got you guys to watch it. And yeah, I'd say I'm a thumbs up, and people should watch this.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. I had it on my radar anyway. But I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, it's all right. And I get it. It's setting the stage. Can't really expect anything too intense from it. And then the second episode hit and it was better. It got steadily... It's not even that it got steadily better as it went along, because it was consistently good all the way through. But as Anna kind of goes deeper and deeper into what she's doing, and then the people around her get sucked into it. It's fascinating to me the way all of these layers interweave with one another. And then when that weaving starts to unravel, it's it's the type of story that really fascinates me, because the psychology behind how someone like this can get away with these kinds of things and the social engineering that they go through, just mind blowing. And to think that this or something really close to this actually happened. I mean, this isn't a literal retelling of what happened. There's some liberties taken. Creative liberties, but
and Anna was involved in the production of this. She was a consultant.
Was she?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
And somewhere in there it talked about she got paid for this, and that helped her pay off some of the debt she had and so forth. But she did have a hand in helping Shonda Rhimes with the story itself. So Shonda Rhimes is the, I think, writer and producer on this.
Where do I know that name from?
She's done a bunch of stuff on TV recently, Grey's Anatomy, Station 19, and a couple other ones.
Okay.
In that same, all those shows are kind of connected. So she's done that. And she's gotten a lot of play in the last couple of years. So yeah.
She's EP on Bridgerton. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I know the name. Like, I definitely know the name. Scandal. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Grey's Anatomy, Station 19 are two big ones right now, but yeah, she's involved in a lot of stuff over the years. So,
okay.
But that was one of the things that drew me to this too, because I knew she's a good producer and a good writer. So I'm like, okay, one more reason to watch.
It's very well written, and I think that aside from the necessity of kind of getting through that opening episode, which isn't bad. It's just the hooks don't really come until the second episode is all. Like, I'm not complaining about it. But the pacing overall, I think is really good. Like, even as some of these episodes don't really necessarily get you like right up to the end game, you're getting different perspectives of different parts of the story as it goes along, as this interviewer, this journalist is interviewing different people involved in different events. And it really starts to paint a picture of everything that's going on. And it tells a story. It's not just like, here's one episode on this person, here's another episode on this person. That kind of storytelling can be good. But this, when it jumps from person to person, it still keeps the flow of the narrative going.
Right, because it kept a few characters throughout the whole 9 episodes.
Yeah.
Right, so you had Anna, you had the journalist, I keep forgetting her name.
Vivian.
You had Vivian. You had Anna's friend, who was the concierge at the hotel.
Neff.
Yeah.
That's another actress I've seen somewhere before, too.
She doesn't look familiar to me. Alexis Floyd is her name.
It's been driving me
she was
nuts.
there throughout, and she was in this thing talking with the to talk with Vivian quite a bit about what was going on. So
Dickinson. Okay.
So she was always there.
Yeah. Well, and the other actors and actresses in this too. Anders Holm as Jack. I've seen him somewhere before. Laverne Cox as Casey, the trainer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've seen her in something before. I know I've seen Katie Lowe's somewhere before. She plays Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
So there are faces in here that we've seen in other things.
Yeah, like, I mean, Jeff Perry as Lou, one of the other writers. I've seen him in a lot of stuff before. Mm-hmm. His face is very familiar. Anthony Edwards was in this.
Yeah.
For a couple episodes.
Yeah, the casting is solid. The writing is solid. The pacing is solid. The directing is solid. So the story. What do we think of the story? And we're not going to spoil it. Again, I have not seen the last episode and part of the second to last episode.
It's tough to also spoil something that's been in the news. No, I remembered.
But I didn't get any of it when it was in the news.
I heard about it, thinking the news, but because the whole fake German heirs thing became a meme for a while, but I didn't delve into the whole story.
Oh, I guess I didn't know why it was a meme. There's a lot of memes where I'm like, why is this a meme? And then I just ignore it and move on because, come on.
So nothing to spoil here because, it's out there. But, the story, the way they wrote it, while she was snaring people in her web to build her dream, and whether or not you believe that she was trying to build something or just take money, who knows. But she was sucking those people in and sucking us in at the same time as viewers, because with every episode, after you got to like that third episode where you started digging into what she was doing, it was like, oh my God, I want to know more. What was the next thing she was doing?
Right.
Where'd that go to? And then you're wondering yourself, how did this go on for so long? Where she's telling the same lie over and over again. You're like, wouldn't you just not buy that? I mean, wouldn't I be skeptical?
But the funny thing is, and here's what I love about this show, is they kind of explain that, right? Like there are moments where you're like, how is she getting away with this? Why would you let her do that? And then later on, they'll flash back to some other things about the scenes, and you see exactly why they believed certain things and why they agreed to certain things. And it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess I get that, and it makes more sense now. And along the way too, you kind of start to wonder sometimes, like, what she did is bad, so we're not changing directions. But as we're driving down the road, we do change lanes a lot. We're like, okay, was she intentionally being malicious, or was she intentionally, like you said, trying to create something? Or, is she a mastermind, or is she a victim who is now victimizing other people because it's kind of all she knows, and which doesn't justify any of it. But it is a different type of a motivation. And you, at least to the point in the story I'm at, like I got to the point by episode 7 out of the 9, you could almost end the story there. But then the journalist, when she gets done with what she's doing, she's like, I don't know. There's this one more thing. I need to go and I need to investigate this one more thing. And then you get a different take on it, and you're like, oh, crap. Because you're kind of always wondering, is she who she says she is? Did she come from where she said she came from? Or did she make it all up on the spot? And as you go through and get more of that story, and it never breaks what you saw come before. It doesn't cheat you.
Right.
And that's important. In my opinion, when you do stories like this, it's easy to kind of cheat the audience and feed them something and say, oh, no, that was poison. The real food's over here. And you're like, well, how are we supposed to know? We're the audience. We only have what you give us to go on. And it feels like a cheat, but it never felt like a cheat in this series.
No, it didn't. And I think to the very end of this, you still don't really know, if she was really trying to build something herself. Because I mean, without giving any spoilers, the whole thing was she was trying to build a foundation, I guess it was, for rich people, basically.
Yeah,
but
a social club. And I'm like, how is a social club the same as like a foundation? It's like, oh, we're going to do great things for people. No, you're going to sit around and drink and spend money.
Right. But she was building it as that. And whatever that is fine. Yeah. But, was she really trying to build this and become successful, or was she really just taking what she could get and stealing money? Because, I mean, in the end, they didn't convict her of a lot of things. It was, what could they really convict her of besides, some people made some bad choices based on what she had said to them.
Right.
But, the few things that they really did indict her for, I guess, were not. I
don't know the news, and I haven't seen the end. So.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's still not spoiled, but there's still stuff that you're like questioning. Okay, I really want to find out the real story now, what happened. But
there's certain points where it's like she does stuff where it kind of either destroys someone's life or could destroy someone's life, and it's clearly illegal until you realize, well, is it though? Like, what law actually got broken there? She convinced people to do things for her. She didn't actually go and steal money in some cases. She convinced people to give her money. Right. How is that?
There's points in the book or points in the story where, and this isn't, I guess, spoiler or not, but I mean, it could be that, she couldn't get a loan secured, so she couldn't have any money. She was sponging off other people, but then another bank gives her a credit line to use. And it's like, why would you give her a credit line without any security collateral? It's like, I mean, I can't get that.
Right.
I mean, it's like, what did she do differently by just saying, "Oh, I'm this"?
There was no credit check or anything. It was because the other bank felt like they were in competition with.
Right.
Like, oh, hey, we need to get on board with this too.
So let's jump in now. We'll make sure we give her this so she'll stay with us so we can get the big loan from her later on. But yeah, it's amazing what she put people through.
Yeah.
And they were willing to just do things for her.
It was all based on, it was a con game. And in a very literal sense, con in the phrase con game stands for confidence. Mm-hmm. And by exuding this confidence and treating people like she was so far above them to the point where they believed it, they then felt like they needed to do things for her. And again, the psychology behind this and the sociology behind this is fascinating.
Mm-hmm. But, so look at it this way. So, I mean, if she had secured the loan of whatever millions of dollars and built this foundation she wanted to, and it became successful and she raked in money, she would have been fine, right? I mean, that would have been, she'd paid back a loan. She'd had money. It'd be gone. You're borrowing
if she was
money to make your
responsible enough
dream
to pay
come
back
true.
the loans. Yeah. I mean, it could have worked out.
Right. And I think that if, the way they portrayed it, if shit had happened, she probably would have. I think it would have been fine for her.
But there were still some people she screwed along the way who maybe would have recovered, maybe wouldn't have recovered. There were still some.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she did some people wrong along the way. Right. Yeah. But I just found the whole thing fascinating, and I was sucked in by the confidence of her character. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I was also going, who would believe this type thing? I'm like, what? Yeah. I mean, I see you're getting them to say yes to this, but who would actually believe that?
Well, and it's interesting too, because of all of the characters, Anthony Edwards' character was the one where I'm like, okay, this is where it's going to stop. There's no way she's going to be able to pull the wool over his eyes. And then she does. And to your point, it's like, how could she have managed to do that to this guy? Like, this guy is successful in what he does. Mm-hmm. He's really good. And then later you realize, like, they show you exactly why he decided to go along with it, because he had every reason to.
Right. And I think later on, past where you are, they do give a few more explanations to how she kind of tricked him into things. Yeah. But at the same time, she tricked him into things, but he still signed for things without having the documentation to back it up. So I'm like, why did he believe her? Yep.
It's funny because trust is a strange thing, and people want to trust people. People want to be around people who are more successful than they are because they want that success by association. And I mean, that's why confidence in general is so attractive, whether it's in the dating world or whether it's in social circles or whether it's in the business world. People throw money at successful people who don't really need more money, or they'll throw money at people who appear to be successful without really understanding whether they're actually successful or not, but they sound good.
Right.
They're confident. And that's exactly what we see play out here. So I think that for this style of story, because we've seen other things that are kind of similar to this before, I think this is one of the better stories I've seen. And again, like you said, Lou, probably because it's based on a true story. This is the most compelling portrayal of this sort of a con game, especially a modern con game, that I've seen in a long time. So I would definitely recommend this. What's your take on it? I mean, it sounds like you definitely would as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this is a very well put together show and just good stuff all around. So, yeah.
I would say this is definitely bingeable in small parts. So it's 9 episodes. I'd say do 3, and 3. I think that if you sit down and try to watch the whole thing at once, you might, like, there's enough depth to it that you might start to taper off at some point. And I also think if you spread it out too much, there are some details you might lose track of what's going on a little bit. So I would say binge it, but maybe not all at once. Maybe do it in some big chunks. I think that might be a good approach. So, But yeah, I think that's about all we have to say on it. I think that's going to do it for this episode of Media Chatter.
Sure.
So,
sure. What are we covering next? Do we have that?
That's a good question. I think I might have posted something in our little chat group here. I'd have to double check. So
we had a couple choices to choose from, but
yeah. So I desperately want to cover Upload, and Upload is coming back. Upload season 2 comes back in a few weeks. So
yeah, yep.
Next week, we don't have anything particularly new coming out. The week after that, we have The Adam Project, a movie on Netflix with Ryan Reynolds. So we're going to cover that. And then later that same week, Upload Season 2 comes out. I would really desperately love to cover Upload.
Yeah.
So Robin's not here. We need to talk to her about it. But we might cover Upload now. We might cover it later. But either way, it's one of the things on our list. So, you know what, Lou? People.
No, what, Eric?
Well, I would say people in our Discord channel could interact with us and find out about what we might be covering.
Yeah, that works two ways. I mean, they can keep up to date with this. So they can watch this too, and then be ready for our discussion, and tell us, "Hey, I watched this recently, and I really liked it. So maybe I should cover that."
We are always looking for new things to cover. Always. So leave comments in the video down below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not, you could go to youtube.com/randomchatter and you could watch it instead of just listening to the podcast. But throw your comments in there. Let us know what you would like us to cover, what you thought of Inventing Anna if you've seen it, and then hop into our Discord server. Yeah, randomchatter.com/Discord. There's an invite link there. As long as you already have some sort of a Discord account, that'll drop you right into the server from there. So that's going to do it for this episode of Media Chatter. Hopefully Robin will be back with us next week. I believe she will be. A quick announcement too. We normally stream these on Tuesday nights at about 8:30 p.m. We are going to be moving those to Monday nights. Probably still around 8:30 p.m. So keep an eye out for that. And that's going to do it. We will see you again in about a week. And until then, enjoy Inventing Anna on Netflix. We'll see you again soon. Take care.